Hello, and welcome to Science for Sleep. I'm so glad you found your way here, to this quiet space, right at the delicate line between the day that has passed and the night that is arriving. Perhaps you've just come through a long day, filled with thoughts, to-do lists, and the noise of the outside world. Or perhaps you are the kind of person who prefers to drift off to sleep with deep reflections, floating alongside the profound and gentle mysteries of the universe, instead of bothering to count sheep. Whatever reason brought you here, wherever your mind may be, know that this journey tonight is just for you. You don't need to do anything at all. Nothing, except rest. There is no task to complete, no puzzle to solve. Your only purpose in this moment is to allow yourself to be here, to let go. Let your mind relax. Imagine your thoughts as soft, distant clouds, drifting slowly by, fading into the quiet of your mind's sky. Let your breathing slow down, finding its own natural, easy rhythm, a gentle tide, rising and falling, all on its own. And as you breathe, let your body become light, so wonderfully light, as if gravity itself has softened its hold on you, just for tonight, cradling you instead of pulling you down. Feel a wave of ease begin at the very top of your head, smoothing your brow, relaxing your jaw. Let it flow down your neck and into your shoulders, giving them permission to drop, to release the weight of the day. Feel this softness flow down your arms to the very tips of your fingers. Feel it move down through your chest and your back, letting you sink deeper, feeling completely supported by the surface beneath you. You are held. You are safe. Finally, feel this wave of relaxation flow through your hips and down your legs, heavy and warm, all the way to the tips of your toes. Your whole body is now held, still and peaceful, heavy with relaxation, yet light as a feather, floating in this calm, quiet space, just resting. Because tonight, we are not just resting. We are not just floating in this quiet space. We are drifting. We are beginning a gentle descent, a slow, weightless float, away from the familiar shore of your room and down into the vast, quiet, liquid heart of our world. We are drifting into the ocean. Imagine it now, not as just a wide expanse of blue, but as a world, a realm, built of salt, of immense, steady pressure, and of a darkness more profound than any night you have ever known. We see its surface, a beautiful, shimmering, restless mirror of the sky. But beneath that calm beauty, there are secrets, quiet, wondrous, and ancient secrets. There are mountain ranges, hidden in shadow, taller than any on land. There are strange, ghostly rivers of brine that flow along the deep seafloor. And, most wondrous of all, there is life, entire ecosystems that thrive in total, crushing darkness, drawing their energy not from the warm light of the Sunday, but from the fiery, chemical heat of the Earth's molten core. These are discoveries that gently challenge everything we think we know about our planet and about life itself. We will journey gently, you and I, on a slow, quiet drift. We will begin in the world we know, that warm, sunlit surface, shimmering and blue, teeming with the life that breathes our air. And then we will let ourselves sink, slowly, weightlessly, down, past the last, fading, golden rays of light. We will float through the vast, hazy, ghostly Twilight Zone, where the light of the sun gives way to the living light of the creatures that dwell there. And we will continue, deeper still, into the profound, crushing, quiet darkness of the abyss, a world of eternal night, where silent, colossal giants move, and where life is built on a different kind of fire. You will hear about these hidden wonders. You will hear about the ocean's own ancient story. A story that is not finished, A story that is still evolving, its currents shifting, its depths still holding secrets we have yet to find. You don't need to hold on to any of it. Some of the things you hear tonight may surprise you. Some may feel like half-remembered dreams. And some may just be a gentle, quiet spark of wonder, a soft light to accompany you as you float and drift deeper and deeper into your own peaceful, healing sleep. And just before we begin our descent, a very quiet thought. If you find, as we drift, that these curious, peaceful explorations, these gentle journeys through the wonders of science, help you to relax, to unwind, and to find your way toward your own deep, restorative rest, please consider a quiet like for this journey, or perhaps subscribing to the channel. It is a simple, silent gesture, but it truly does help others. Other minds who are also searching for this same stillness, this same quiet space, to find their way here. It helps guide them to this harbor, one restful soul at a time. A long pause, the music softens, perhaps the sound of a very gentle, distant breath, or a slow, single wave breaks. Now, let us begin. Imagine, just for this moment, that you are no longer resting in your bed. Imagine that the boundaries of your room, the very walls and the ceiling have dissolved, and you are floating, weightless, suspended in a vast, warm, and shimmering body of water. This is the beginning of our journey. We are entering the ocean, but we are not plunging, we are not diving, we are drifting effortlessly, just beneath the surface. This is the realm of the Sunday. It is called the Sunlit Zone, or the epipelagic zone. It is the ocean's skin, a layer that stretches from the surface, where the waves kiss the air, down to about 650 feet, or 200 meters. This is the part of the ocean that you know, the one you see in photographs, the one that holds the color blue, the one that feels the warmth of the day. It is a world of dazzling, moving light. Look up in your mind's eye and see the surface from below. It is a shimmering, silver ceiling, a rippling, liquid mirror that shatters and reforms the sun's rays into a million dancing, golden spears of light. A phenomenon so beautiful, it has its own name, caustics. This light, this warmth, this energy from our star, this is the engine of everything here. This entire world is built on light, and it is this light that gives the ocean its most defining quality, its color. Have you ever wondered, truly wondered, why the ocean is blue? It is a question so simple, we often accept the first answer, that it is just a reflection of the sky. And it's true. The ocean is a magnificent mirror, and on a gray, overcast day, it becomes a sheet of liquid steel, borrowing the mood of the clouds. But that is not the whole story. Not even the most beautiful part of it. The ocean has a blue of its very own, a deep, intrinsic, liquid color that comes from the water itself. It comes from the way water, a vast, deep body of it, chooses to dance with the light. Sunlight, as you know, is not just one color. It is a spectrum, a rainbow of light, reds and oranges and yellows and greens and blues and violets. When this full spectrum of light strikes the ocean, the water acts like a great, gentle filter. It finds it very easy to absorb the long, warm wavelengths. The reds, the oranges, the yellows, they are captured quickly, their energy fading within the first few dozen feet. But the blue light is different. It has more energy, a shorter wavelength. It is not so easily captured, and so it scatters. It is bounced from one water molecule to another, scattered and reflected, sent back, and it is this scattered, rejected, liberated blue light that travels from the depths, back up to our eyes. The blue of the ocean is the color of light that the water has decided to let go of, the color it chooses to share with the sky. It is a blue born of depth, a blue that tells you the water has substance, that it has absorbed all the fire of the Sunday, and is returning only its cool, quiet essence. And in this vast, blue, sun-drenched cathedral, the planet's most important work is being done, silently, invisibly. We are taught to look to the great rainforests, the Amazons of the world, as the lungs of the planet, and they are. They are vital, green, and beautiful. But the ocean is the other lung, the greater lung, more than half of the oxygen in Earth's atmosphere, more than every second breath you are taking right now, in this very moment, as you rest, was not born from a tree. It was born here, in the Sunlit Zone. It is a gift from a vast, invisible forest. A forest made of countless, microscopic, drifting plants. We call them phytoplankton. They are single-celled organisms, tiny algae, each one a living jewel, floating in the upper layers of the sea. They are so small, you cannot see them, but they are so numerous. Their collective, living presence forms the very foundation of the entire ocean. Their sheer scale of life, far vaster in its impact than all the whales, all the fish, all the dolphins combined. And like any plant, they perform a miracle. They breathe in the carbon dioxide that we exhale. They take the energy from these golden spears of sunlight, and through the magic of photosynthesis, they create life. They create the very basis of the entire marine food web. And in doing so, as a simple, humble byproduct of their life, they release oxygen. They are breathing, and their exhale becomes our inhale. Right now, all across the globe, from the tropics to the poles, these invisible meadows are performing this quiet, sacred alchemy. They are the true, silent engine of life on Earth. A vast, floating, breathing web of life, pulsing with the rhythm of the sun, and giving us the very air we need to rest. And where this phytoplankton blooms, life follows. Its presence, this invisible bounty, is what makes the rest of the life in this zone possible. It is the grass of a vast, liquid prairie. And in the warmest, clearest waters of this prairie, we find the ocean's most vibrant, most complex, most dazzling creations. We find the coral reefs. We call them the rainforests of the sea, and the comparison is perfect. Like the rainforests, they cover a tiny, tiny fraction of the planet's surface, less than 1% of the entire ocean floor. Yet, they are home to over 25% of all marine life. A quarter of all known species in the sea finds its food, its shelter, its nursery, its entire existence within these intricate, colorful cities. But what is this city built of? It looks like rock, it feels like stone, it branches like a plant, but it is neither. A coral reef is a living, breathing animal, or rather, a colony. A metropolis built by millions, even billions, of tiny, soft-bodied animals called polyps. They are simple creatures, related to jellyfish and sea anemones. And each tiny polyp builds a hard, limestone cup around its soft body for protection. And as generations build upon generations, for thousands, even millions of years, they create these vast, complex, architectural wonders. But they do not do it alone. They have a partner, a secret. Living inside the delicate, translucent tissue of each coral polyp is a microscopic algae called zooxanthellae. This is another perfect, symbiotic pact. The coral animal, with its tiny, stinging tentacles, provides a safe, sunlit home for the algae, a high-rise apartment with a perfect view of the Sunday. And in return, the algae, just like the phytoplankton, performs photosynthesis. It takes the sunlight and turns it into energy, into sugars, and it produces so much that it feeds itself and then feeds its host, the coral, from the inside out. That breathtaking color you see in a reef, the vibrant reds, the electric purples, the glowing oranges, that is not the coral animal itself. That is the color of its tiny live-in partners, the algae. It is a city built by animals, powered by plants, and teeming with a diversity of life that rivals any place on Earth. And this sunlit world, this zone of warmth and light and food, it is a world of movement. It is a world of bustling, energetic life. You can picture it. You can feel the energy. You can see the sleek, powerful forms of dolphins moving in their pods, their intelligent eyes, their joyful leaps. They are the masters of this realm. They are not just swimming. They are communicating. They are painting pictures with sound. They use echolocation, sending out clicks and whistles, and listening to the echoes that return, building a complex, three-dimensional image of their world in their minds. They can see a fish hidden in the sand. They can understand the shape and texture of an object from hundreds of feet away. It is a symphony of sound that we can barely comprehend, a constant, joyful, complex conversation. And gliding through these same warm waters are the ancient mariners, the sea turtles. They are living dinosaurs, their design perfected over 100 million years. They are reptiles, born of the land, but they have made the ocean their home. They beat their powerful flippers like wings, flying through the water, migrating for thousands of miles across entire oceans, to return, by some deep, magnetic instinct we still do not fully understand, to the very same beach where they were born, to lay their own eggs. They are the quiet, steady, and timeless heart of the Sunlit Zone, carrying the memory of ancient lands within their very being. And all of this life, the phytoplankton, the reefs, the dolphins, the turtles, is carried, is cradled, is moved by the great warm currents. The surface of the ocean is not still. It is a web of massive, flowing rivers. Rivers, not of water flowing through land, but of water flowing through water. You know their names. The Gulf Stream, a river of warm tropical water flowing from the Gulf of Mexico, racing up past the coast of America and bringing impossible warmth to northern Europe. These currents are the planet's circulatory system, its great thermostat. They are driven by the sun's heat at the equator and by the turning of the Earth, a slow, constant, global dance. They are highways, carrying heat, carrying nutrients, carrying the tiny larvae of coral and fish to new homes. They are the lifeblood of this sunlit world, connecting everything. This entire zone, this warm, bright, breathing, and bustling world, is a place of profound connection. It is the place where the sun meets the water, where the air meets the sea, where invisible plants create visible life. It is the world we know. It is beautiful. It is vibrant. And it is the place we must leave behind to continue our journey. For as beautiful as this light is, it is fleeting. It cannot last. And as we begin to drift deeper, past the first few 100 feet, the light begins to change. The warm reds and oranges are gone. The world becomes a deep, twilight blue. The warmth begins to fade. The pressure, for the first time, begins to be felt. We are leaving the skin of the ocean, and we are drifting down, down, into the dusk, into the Twilight Zone. And so, we continue to drift, letting go of that warm, familiar, sunlit surface, We are floating down, weightless, effortless, past the 650-foot mark, or 200 meters, and as we cross this invisible boundary, the world changes. The vibrant, dancing golden light from the surface. The caustics, it is gone. We look up, and the surface is no longer a shimmering silver ceiling. It is just a distant, lighter place. The light that reaches us here is no longer a warm shower. It is a faint, cold, and utterly pure blue. It is a blue so deep, so absolute, it feels less like a color and more like a presence. This is the beginning of the great twilight. Welcome to the Twilight Zone, or, as scientists call it, the mesopelagic zone. This is a world that stretches from 650 feet down to about 3,300 feet, or 1,000 meters. This is a world defined by what is lost. With every foot we descend, the warmth of the sun, which felt so pleasant on the surface, fades rapidly. We are entering a world of deep, profound, and constant cold. It is not a harsh, biting cold like a winter wind. It is a deep, still, penetrating cold that seeps into everything, a cold that slows life down. And as the warmth fades, something else builds. For the first time on our journey, we can truly feel for the pressure. It is no longer a gentle, buoyant cradle, as it was in the shallows. It is now a tangible, constant, and steady presence. It is the weight of the world above, the weight of hundreds of feet of water, pressing in from every direction, all at once. For the creatures that live here, it is not a force, it is simply the air they breathe. But for us, in our quiet drift, we can imagine it as a firm, heavy, and holding embrace, a pressure that stills all agitation, that demands a different kind of being. It is the deep, steady, and constant hug of the planet itself. And the light. The light is in its final, slow, beautiful act of disappearing. As we drift deeper, that faint, pure blue begins to dim and fade, turning into a deep, hazy, ghostly gray blue. And then, finally, into a darkness so profound it feels final. Down here, it is a permanent, unchanging twilight, a world where it is forever dusk. The sun is now just a faint, forgotten memory, a whisper from a world far, far above. But this is not a world of total darkness, not yet, because as the sun's light fails, another light begins. A light born not from a distant star, but from life itself. Here, in the twilight, we are entering the true kingdom of bioluminescence. This is the realm where life has learned to swallow the light, and then to make its own. It is a cold, chemical light, a silent, living fire. The creatures that live here are masterpieces of adaptation, sculpted by this dim light, this immense pressure, and this deep cold. Vision is still useful, but only just. And so, eyes become strange. They become enormous, tubular, almost alien in their design. Many creatures here, like the barrel-eye fish, have great, green, dome-like heads that are completely transparent, and inside, their eyes are two sensitive, upward-pointing barrels. They hang motionless in the water, their eyes fixed on the faint shadow world above, searching for the silhouette of prey against the last, fading light of the surface. Other creatures have abandoned traditional vision and have instead developed enormous, hypersensitive lenses designed to catch the faintest single photon of light, or, more importantly, to see the flashes and pulses of their neighbors. And here, in this dim world, survival is a game of shadows, and the most common survival trick is to have no shadow at all. many creatures here. The shrimp, the squid, the small, bristling fish have developed a magical form of camouflage. It is called counter-illumination. Along their bellies, they have rows of tiny, light-producing organs called photophores. And as they float in the twilight, they turn these lights on, not brightly, but with just enough of a faint blue-green glow to perfectly match the faint, dim light filtering down from the surface. And so, to any predator looking up from the true darkness below, they are invisible. Their glowing belly blends seamlessly with the dim, twilight sky above. They have vanished. They have become one with the last light. It is a ghostly, beautiful, and constant performance. An entire ecosystem holding its breath and trying to look like nothing at all. But this zone, this hazy, pressurized, and dimly lit world, holds what is perhaps the single greatest secret of the entire ocean. It is a secret of movement, a secret of life on a scale that is almost impossible to comprehend. It is the largest migration of life on our entire planet, and it happens every single day in the dark. It is called the Deal vertical migration. When scientists first began using sonar in the mid-20th century, they were baffled. Every day, they would see a layer on their screens, a false bottom to the ocean that would be hovering here in the Twilight Zone. But every evening, as the sun set, this bottom would rise. It would ascend hundreds of meters toward the surface, and every morning, just before the sun's first light touched the waves, it would descend back into the safety of the deep. They were not mapping the seabed. They were mapping all life. Imagine it now, with us, as we float in this dim, cold water. The last, faint light from above finally winks out. The sun has set on the world far above, and here, in the deep, something begins to stir. All around us, in the vast, three-dimensional darkness, an awakening. Trillions, not millions, not billions, trillions of creatures to begin to move. Tiny lanternfish, their sides dotted with rows of glowing lights, like windows on a tiny, living ship. Countless forms of krill and shrimp, ghostly, translucent squid, and billions upon billions of bristlemouth fish, the most numerous vertebrate on the entire planet. An entire, hidden civilization, which spent its day hiding in the dark, in the cold, in the pressure, now begins its nightly journey upward. It is a silent, vertical rush, a living, breathing cloud, a vast ascending shadow, hundreds of feet thick, stretching for thousands of miles across every ocean on Earth, rising from the twilight, up, to the sunlit zone, which is now dark and safe. And why? To feed. They rise to the surface to graze on the vast, invisible meadows of phytoplankton, and to prey on the smaller creatures that eat the phytoplankton. The sunlit zone, which creates all the food, is a place of terrible danger for small creatures during the day, a world of fast predators and sharp eyes. So, they wait. They wait for the cover of night. And then, the entire ecosystem moves. It is the greatest feeding in the world. And then, just before the first hint of dawn, before those first golden spears of light can return to the water, the great migration reverses. The feast is over, and the trillions of creatures, now full, begin their long, slow descent back down into the cold, back down into the pressure, back down into the safety of the Twilight Zone, to rest, to hide, to wait. This happens every 24 hours. It is the true daily pulse of our planet, a great vertical breath, taken by the ocean itself, It is the largest movement of animal life on Earth, and it happens completely unseen by us in the deep, silent twilight. And in this world, where sight is limited, where the world is defined by shadows and faint, ghostly lights, another sense becomes supreme: sound. Here, in the twilight, and deeper, sound behaves in a way that is utterly alien to our world of air. Sound travels and travels. Here, in this zone of specific temperature and pressure, there exists a special layer, a corridor in the water, known to scientists as the deep sound channel or the sofa channel. It is a layer in the ocean that acts as a perfect conduit for sound. Sound waves that enter this channel at this specific depth can become trapped, bouncing between the layers of pressure and temperature, and they can travel, not for a mile or 10 miles, but for thousands of miles before fading away. It is the ocean's own natural fiber optic cable, but for sound. This is the world you are in now, a world where the call of a great fin whale, a low, powerful, resonating pulse, can be sent from the coast of Antarctica and be heard faintly by another whale or by a sensitive human instrument off the coast of Alaska. It is a world of echoes, a world of ancient songs, traveling across entire basins, a single note hanging in the water for hours, a whisper that can cross a continent. This is a world where distance is meaningless to a voice. It is a world of cold, of pressure, of faint, living lights, and of voices that carry forever. We are at the bottom of this zone now, down at 3,300 feet, 1,000 meters. Look up. There is nothing, no light, no memory of the Sunday, no hint of the surface. The last, faintest single photon of sunlight has been captured and absorbed. The long, beautiful twilight is over. We have now passed beyond the reach of the sun. Forever, we are crossing the final threshold into a new world, a world of absolute, unchanging, and permanent night. We are drifting now into the deep night, into the midnight zone. We are floating now in a way we have not been before. We are suspended in a realm of perfect, absolute, and unchanging night. We have passed beyond the last, faint, ghostly memory of the Sunday here at 3,300 feet, and descending, there is no day, there is no night, there is no dusk, no dawn, there is only now, a permanent, timeless, and profound darkness. Welcome to the Midnight Zone, the Bathyal Zone. This is, by volume, the largest single living space on our planet. It is a vast, three-dimensional world of almost nothing. It is a world of stillness, of profound, near-freezing cold, and of a pressure that is now immense. It is a weight so constant, so uniform, so enveloping, that it is hard to even call it pressure. It is more like the very substance of the world itself, a heavy, steady, and constant presence, holding everything in its dark, liquid embrace. Here, in this endless velvet black, the rules of life are rewritten. The sun, that great engine of the world above, is gone. Its energy does not reach here directly, and so life must find another way. The currency of the sunlit world was light. The currency of the twilight world was hiding. The currency of the midnight world is patience and creation. Because here, light is not something you see, it is something you make. This is the true empire of bioluminescence. But it is not used for camouflage anymore, not for blending in with a non-existent sky. Here, light is a tool. It is a language. It is a lure. It is a weapon. It is the only star in a starless sky. Imagine, just floating in this vast, cold, pressurized black. You have been waiting, perhaps for days, perhaps for weeks, for a single, fleeting chance. And then, you create a light. This is the world of the anglerfish. She is a creature of pure, patient darkness. From her head, she dangles a long, fleshy filament, a fishing rod, and at its very tip, a glowing, fleshy lure called an esker. But this light is not her own. She cannot make it. Instead, this lure is a tiny, living sac filled with millions of symbiotic, glowing bacteria. She is a farmer, tending a tiny, living garden of light. And she hangs there, motionless, in the infinite dark, pulsing this single, faint, hypnotic, blue-green light. It is a lonely star. It is a question, asked to the void. And in this desert of darkness, any light, any at all, is a point of curiosity. A small crustacean or a wandering fish sees that gentle, flickering invitation and moves closer and closer, curious about this single, tiny point of life, until it is too late. The anglerfish's jaws, lined with needle-sharp, inward-pointing teeth, snap shut. It is a life of profound, patient, and terrifying efficiency. And all around us, in this vast, three-dimensional space, other lights are speaking. A sudden, brilliant flash of blue, a biological flashbang from a deep-sea shrimp, blinding a predator for just a moment, allowing it to escape into the safety of the dark. A cascade of glowing, blue-green sparks released by a squid, a light bomb to confuse an attacker. And then there are the patterns, the soft, rhythmic, pulsing rows of light along the side of a fish. A code, a name, a silent signal in the dark, saying, "I am here. I am one of you. Come closer." It is a silent, ghostly, and beautiful language, a slow-motion constellation of souls, calling to each other across the cold, empty, dark. But how does this world, a world so far from the sun, even survive? Where does the energy come from to power these lights, to fuel this patience? It comes from above. It comes as a gift from a dead world. It comes as marine snow. Imagine a slow, constant, and infinitely gentle rain. It is not water. It is a soft, silent blizzard, falling not for hours but for weeks on its long journey from the sunlit world. It is made of everything. It is the dust of life, tiny, decaying fragments of phytoplankton, the ghosts of that invisible, sunlit forest, the discarded shells of microscopic creatures, the fecal pellets of zooplankton, fragments of jellyfish, of fish, of life that has lived and died far above. This is the great, slow, vertical river of nutrients, the connection, the umbilical cord, tying this dark, cold world to the warm, bright engine of the Sunday. Everything that lives here, everything, either eats this snow, filtering it from the water, or it eats something else that has eaten this snow. Life in the midnight zone is a life built on the crumbs from the feast, a life sustained by the gentle, constant, nutrient-rich ghosts of the world far, far above. And the creatures that have adapted to this world, they are beyond our land-based imagination. Here, there is no need for sleek, hydrodynamic, fish-like shapes. There is no great current to fight, no need for speed. The greatest challenges are the pressure, the cold, and finding a single meal in a world that is mostly empty. And so, bodies have become soft. They are built not of rigid muscle, but of water and gelatin. They do not fight the pressure, they are the pressure. Their bodies are gelatinous, watery, fragile. Because when the pressure inside you is the same as the pressure outside you, there is no pressure at all. You are in perfect, soft, delicate balance. We see creatures like the gulper eel, which seems to be nothing but a mouth. It is a long, black, ribbon-like creature with a jaw that can unhinge to become a vast, pale, scoop-like net, allowing it to swallow prey much, much larger than itself. Because in this world, you cannot be a picky eater. A meal may only come once a month, once every few months. You must be able to eat anything that you are lucky or unlucky enough to find. We see creatures that are like living fossils, like the vampire squid. It is not a true squid, it is a relic, the last surviving member of its own ancient order. It floats in the dark, a velvety black-red cloak, its 8 long arms connected by a deep web of skin. And when it is threatened, it does something magical. It pulls this web of arms up and over its body, like a cloak, turning itself inside out and exposing rows of soft, fleshy spines. It becomes a spiky, defensive ball, its eyes hidden. It is a creature that has learned to become its own private, hidden world. And in this vast darkness, where eyes are often small or blind or have vanished completely, other senses take over. Life sees not with light, but with feeling, with pressure. Fish have a lateral line, a long, hypersensitive organ that runs the length of their body, feeling the tiniest change in water pressure, the faint, distant push of water from another creature moving hundreds of feet away. It is a world of touch, of chemical trails, of tasting the water, of listening to the deep, silent movements of the dark. And this is the hunting ground of giants. Here, in the Midnight Zone, or passing through it, lives the creature of legend, the giant squid, the kraken. It is a ghost, a leviathan of the deep, a creature we almost never see alive in its own world. We only know it from those that have washed ashore or from the scars they leave behind. They grow to 40, 50 feet long, with eyes the size of dinner plates, the largest eyes on Earth. But why? Why such enormous eyes? In a world of total darkness, the answer is they are not looking for sunlight. They are looking for bioluminescence. They are designed to see the faint, ghostly flash of a fish. Or, more importantly, the disturbance, the flash of light, caused by their only true predator, the sperm whale. Imagine that, a battle of myths happening right now, 2 miles beneath the surface, in a darkness as complete as the space between galaxies. The sperm whale, a creature of air, a mammal, like us, a warm-blooded, breathing animal, takes a single, great breath on the surface, and then it plunges, it dives, down, down, for over an hour, into the cold, crushing, midnight world. Its body built to withstand the pressure, its lungs collapsing, its heart slowing, and it hunts. It hunts the giant squid, using not sight, but sound. It sends out the loudest, most powerful click of any animal on Earth, a biological sonar so intense, it can literally stun its prey. And in the dark, the 2 giants meet. It is a battle of sound against sight, a clash of titans, a drama, unfolding in a silent, slow-motion world, a world of living lights and falling snow. We are at the bottom of this vast, dark middle world now, around 13,000 feet. 4,000 meters. The cold is constant. The pressure is unimaginable. The darkness is absolute. And the marine snow, that long, slow, gentle rain of life from above, it has ended its journey. It has begun to settle. It is landing on a floor. We are no longer just floating in an endless middle. We have drifted down to the bottom of the world. But this floor, this vast, cold, dark plain, is not the end. It is the beginning of an entirely new and even stranger, even more alien realm. We are now settling gently onto the floor of the abyss. We have settled like the last tired flake of marine snow, the long, slow drift through the middle world. The midnight zone is over. We have arrived at the bottom. This is the abyss, the abyssal zone. It begins at around 13,000 feet, or 4,000 meters, and it stretches down and down, covering more than half of the entire Earth's surface. We are resting now on the ocean floor, the largest, most remote, and most uniform landscape on our planet. Imagine a vast, undulating, endless plain, a desert, not of sand, but of ooze, a fine, thick, soft sediment, built from the patient accumulation of millennia, of eons, of falling marine snow. The shells, the dust, the bones of trillions of creatures that lived and died in the sunlit world, miles above, have all settled here, forming a soft, deep blanket, a liquid history of the planet. The world here is defined by three unchanging and absolute truths. The first is the dark. The darkness here is not just an absence of light, it is a presence. It is a physical, tangible quality. It is the most complete, most ancient, and most permanent darkness on our planet. It has not been touched by a single photon of sunlight for millions of years. The second is the cold. The water here is a constant, steady, near-freezing temperature, just a few degrees above the freezing point of salt water. It is a cold that does not sting. It is a cold that is. It is the deep, final cold of the planet's heart, a place that the sun's warmth has never, ever reached. And the third is the pressure. Here, on the abyssal floor, the pressure is beyond our comprehension. It is no longer just a firm embrace. It is an immense, crushing, and unbelievable weight. The weight of more than 2.5 miles of water is pressing down on every single inch of this landscape. It is the equivalent of having a stack of 50 full-sized passenger jets balanced on every square foot. It is a pressure so great, it changes the very laws of chemistry. A pressure that would turn our bones to dust and our bodies to liquid in an instant. And yet, there is life. It is not abundant. It is not fast. It is a life of almost infinite patience. Here, food is the rarest of commodities. Only the last, most nutrient-poor remnants of the marine snow make it this far. And so, life is slow. Metabolisms are turned down to a bare whisper. Heartbeats are measured in minutes. Lifespans are measured in centuries. This is the world of the tripod fish, a pale, ghostly creature that rests on the soft ooze, on 3 long, stilt-like fins, a living tripod. It holds itself up just above the floor, facing into the faint, imperceptible current, and it waits. It does not hunt. It does not see. Its eyes are almost gone. It simply waits, perhaps for a week, perhaps for a month, for the touch, the vibration of a small crustacean or another creature to brush against its long, outstretched fins. And then, in a slow, ancient movement, it will feed. This is life at the very edge of possibility. But this vast, flat, muddy plain, this endless, cold desert, is not the whole story. Because this floor, the crust of our Earth, is not perfect. It is not static. It is a living, breathing, and broken thing. And here, in the abyss, we find the planet's most dramatic and most secret features. Here, we find the trenches. These are not canyons, as we know them. They are subduction zones, deep, V-shaped, almost vertical scars, where one of the planet's great tectonic plates is slowly, inexorably, being forced under another, diving back down into the molten mantle of the Earth. And the deepest of all of them, the deepest single point on our entire planet, is the Challenger Deep in the Mariana Trench. Imagine, with me, floating over this final, profound void. It is a place so deep that if you were to take Mount Everest, the highest point on land, and place it gently into the trench, its peak, its snow-covered summit, would vanish, and there would still be more than a mile of dark, cold water above it before you reach the surface. This is the most remote, most alien, and most hostile environment on our own planet. The pressure here, at nearly 7 miles down, is over 1,000 times greater than at the surface. It is a pressure that warps steel, and for all of human history, it was a place of pure imagination. Only in the last few decades have a tiny handful of human souls, in submersibles built like spheres of solid titanium, ever visited this place. And what did they find? In that crushing, absolute, sunless, freezing void, at the very bottom of the world, they found life. They found translucent, ghostly snailfish swimming calmly. They found tiny crustaceans. They found giant, single-celled organisms called xenophyrophores, soft, amoeba-like creatures, the size of a fist, thriving. Life, once again, built not to resist the pressure, but to be made of it. Life that proves, once and for all, that there is no place on our planet that life has not, in its stubborn, quiet, and magical way, claimed as home. This is the world of the abyss, a world of ultimate cold, ultimate pressure, and ultimate darkness. But there is another secret here. The abyss is not just a place of endings, of crushing weight, of ancient cold. It is also a place of creation, a place of fire. Because in other parts of this vast floor, the Earth's crust is not colliding, it is pulling apart. Here, we find the great mid-ocean ridge, a single, continuous, underwater mountain range that is 40,000 miles long. It wraps around the entire globe like the seam on a baseball. It is the largest and longest chain of mountains on Earth, and it is almost completely hidden in the dark. And this is the seam of our world. This is where new planet Earth is being born. Here, along this vast volcanic ridge, magma, molten rock from the Earth's mantle, is constantly pushing up, filling the gap, and cooling, creating new oceanic crust. And in these places, these rifts to the ocean floor is alive. Here, we find the hydrothermal vents. We find black smokers. Imagine a chimney, a tower, 30, 50, 100 feet tall, built of precipitated, dark minerals. And from its top, a plume, a geyser of superheated black water is billowing into the cold, dark sea. This is water that has seeped down into the cracks of the Earth's crust. been heated by the magma chambers below to over 700 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to melt lead. But it does not boil. It cannot boil, because the immense, crushing pressure of the abyss prevents it. And this water is not just hot, it is a chemical soup, thick with dissolved minerals, with sulfur from the heart of the planet. And here, humanity discovered something that changed our definition of life forever. For all of our history, we believed all life on Earth was based on the Sunday photosynthesis. The sun fed the plants. The animals ate the plants. The sun was the source. But here, in total, absolute darkness, miles beneath the Sunday, we found an oasis, a teeming, bustling, dense city of life, clustered around these fiery, toxic, superheated vents. And it is based on chemosynthesis, life without light. Here, the base of the food web is not a plant, it is a bacteria that has learned to eat. The toxic, sulfur compounds, billowing from the Earth's fire, they metabolize these chemicals. They turn the planet's inner heat into life. And this bacteria, this forms vast, thick, pale mats that are eaten by ghostly white crabs and strange pale fish. And most wondrous of all, here we find the giant tube worms. Imagine a creature 6, 8 feet tall, a bright, white, plastic-like tube, and from its top, a brilliant, blood-red, feathery plume that sways in the dark, warm water. This creature has no mouth, it has no eyes, it has no stomach, it has no gut, it does not eat. Instead, its entire, vast, internal cavity is packed with these chemosynthetic bacteria. It is a living, symbiotic apartment building. The worm, with its red plume, filters the chemicals from the vent water and delivers it to the bacteria living inside. And the bacteria, in return, feed the worm from the inside out. It is a perfect, ancient, and silent pact, a life built on a covenant with the planet's own fire. And there is one more wonder in this abyssal alien world. In certain places, you can find a lake, imagine, drifting over the endless mud, and suddenly you see a shoreline. You see a lake, a still, dark, mirror-like pool at the bottom of the ocean. These are brine pools. This is water that has seeped up through massive, ancient deposits of salt deep beneath the seafloor. This water is so salty, so dense, that it does not mix with the seawater around it. It is heavier, and so it pools in the low-lying depressions of the abyss, creating a lake. Inside the ocean, you can see the surface of this lake, a shimmering, oily layer where the two waters meet. And this brine is toxic. It is a lake of poison. Any fish or crab that drifts into it is instantly pickled, preserved, and dies. And yet, even here, around the shores of this deadly alien lake, we find life. We find vast, dense beds of mussels that have adapted to filter feed right at the edge in a symbiotic relationship with bacteria that can metabolize the chemicals from this lake of salt. This is the bottom of the world. It is not a dead, empty, crushing void. It is a place of ancient, slow life, a place of scars, 7 miles deep, a place of fiery, volcanic birth, a place of life built on poison and fire. It is the planet's most ancient, most hidden, and most wondrous secret. And so, we have journeyed from the sunlit, breathing surface, down through the ghostly, migrating twilight, into the dark, starry midnight, and finally, we have touched the floor of the abyss itself, a world of crushing pressure, ancient cold, and life born of fire. We have seen the places of the ocean, but now, as we rest here, in this profound, quiet, contemplative space, let us drift into its essence. Let us think about the ocean not as a place, but as a being, a great, ancient, and living memory, a legacy, and a cycle. Have you ever stopped to wonder, in the simplest, most childlike way, why the sea is salty? It is the most basic, most defining characteristic of the ocean, and its story is the story of the planet itself. The ocean was not always salty. In the very, very beginning, when the first clouds formed over a new, cooling earth, the first rains fell, and this rain, this water, was fresh. It was pure. But it fell upon a world that was new, a world of raw volcanic rock, of mountains freshly thrust into the sky, and this fresh water began to run. It formed the first rivers, the first streams, and as it flowed over this new raw land, it dissolved it. Water, as you know, is the great solvent, and it kissed the new rocks and carried away with it the tiniest, faintest, most invisible trace of their minerals, their salts. It carried the faint, mineral flavor of the new world, and for eons, for billions of years, these rivers, the veins of the continents, have been doing this. They have been carrying this dissolved, mineral memory of the land and pouring it into the great, low basins of the world, into the ocean. But why does the ocean become saltier and the rivers stay fresh? Because the ocean has a partner, the Sunday. The sun, as we saw, warms the surface, and it breathes. It breathes in the water, in a process we call evaporation, lifting the water vapor back up into the sky to form new clouds. But when the sun breathes in, it is only interested in the pure water. It leaves the heavy, dissolved, mineral salt behind. And so, for 4 billion years, the ocean has been in this patient, eternal cycle. It receives the fresh water and the mineral memory from the land, and it gives the fresh water back to the sky, but it keeps the salt. It is a patient and vast collector. The salt in the sea is the accumulated liquid history of the entire planet. It is the taste of 4 billion years of rain washing over all the mountains of the world. It is the dissolved essence of the land. And in this ancient, salty, chemical broth, in this warm, primordial cradle, the true hidden legacy of the ocean was born. Because this is where we began. This is the deepest, most profound, and most personal truth of the sea. The ocean is the womb of all life. It is the source, the origin. We do not know if it happened in a shallow, sunlit pool, or perhaps, as we have just seen, in the fiery, chemical-rich darkness clustered around a hydrothermal vent. But somewhere, in this ancient water, billions of years ago, the first, simple, magical spark of life occurred. The first, single, replicating cell came into being. And from that one cell, from that one humble, aquatic ancestor, everything you have ever known evolved. The phytoplankton, the giant squid, the tree outside your window, the bird in the sky, and you. This is the hidden legacy. You are not just a visitor to the ocean. You are not just a guest looking in the most literal, biological, and chemical way. You are the ocean, observing itself. The water that makes up more than half of your own body, the very fluid that courses through your veins, has the same approximate salinity as that ancient, primordial sea. The salt in your blood, the salt in your sweat, the salt in your tears, is a direct chemical echo, a biological memory of this ancient, life-giving water. You are, quite literally, a small, walking, thinking, dreaming piece of the ocean that has learned to live on land. And as you rest tonight, you are just a small body of water calling home to the great, vast body of water that gave you life. And this vast ocean, it is not just a static pool of history. It is a living, breathing, moving thing. Its cycles are the planet's cycles. It is the great engine of our world. You have heard of the winds. You have heard of the surface currents, like the Gulf Stream, but deep beneath, far below the notice of the wind or the waves, there is another, greater, slower movement. It is the eternal cycle. We call it the global conveyor belt. It is the planet's circulatory system, a single, vast, slow, silent river, 1,000 times larger than the Amazon. A river that flows, not on land, but within the ocean itself. It is a river, driven by the very things we have been feeling on our journey, by cold and by salt. Imagine it, up at the poles, in the cold, Arctic and Antarctic seas. The water becomes very cold, and as sea ice forms, it leaves its salt behind, making the water around it not just colder, but saltier. And this cold, salty water is heavy. It is denser than any other water on Earth, and so it sinks. It plunges down, down, a silent, cold cascade into the abyss we just visited, into the very bottom of the world. And this great sinking, this great descending pulls. It pulls the warmer, lighter surface water from the equator, from the tropics, toward the poles, to replace it. And so, the belt begins. This cold, deep water then flows, slowly, so slowly, along the abyssal floor, across the entire planet, until, centuries later, in the warm Indian and Pacific Oceans, it slowly rises, warms, and makes its way back along the surface to the poles to begin the journey all over again. This is not a fast journey, a single molecule, a single drop of water on this great global thermohaline conveyor might take 1,000 years to make a single loop. Imagine that, a 1,000-year journey, a slow, global pulse. This is the planet's beating heart. This is the slow, silent, steady engine that moves heat around the globe, that regulates our climate, that gives us our seasons, that makes our world livable. It is the great, slow, eternal breath of the planet, balancing the fire of the equator with the ice of the poles. It is a cycle, so vast and so slow that it exists outside of our human sense of time. And the ocean, as it holds the planet's memory in its salt and the planet's breath in its currents, it also holds our memory. It is a silent, sleeping museum. It is the keeper of our own human, hidden legacy. For all of our history, we have sailed upon its surface. We have challenged it. We have used it. We have loved it. And sometimes we have failed. And the ocean has taken our stories. Hidden in the dark, cold abyssal plains are the skeletons of our ambitions, our shipwrecks, There are, by some estimates, over 3 million shipwrecks resting at the bottom of the sea. They are not just rotting wood or rusting metal. In the deep, cold, dark, with so little oxygen, time stops. These wrecks are time capsules. A Roman trading vessel, its clay amphorae, its jars of wine and olive oil, still neatly stacked in its hold. A Spanish galleon, its silver coins, scattered across the ooze. A pirate's forgotten dream. A great warship, from a conflict you have only read about in history books, resting in silence, its great guns never to fire again. They are ghostly, sleeping monuments to our own human journey. The ocean, in its patient, cold, dark embrace, has held them. It has kept our secrets, preserving our triumphs and our tragedies in a perfect, timeless vault. And it holds its own secrets too. After all of this, after all our journey, after all our science, the greatest truth is that we still barely know it at all. We have sent probes to the deepest trenches. We have mapped the mid-ocean ridge, but we are still just listening. And as we listen, with our most sensitive instruments, our hydrophones, placed in the deep sound channel we spoke of, the ocean speaks. We hear the familiar, the great, resonant, complex songs of the humpback whales, the low, powerful moans of the fin whales, the distant rumble of an undersea earthquake. But sometimes we hear things we do not understand. In 1997, in the deep Pacific, our instruments recorded a sound that was of an ultra-low frequency, yet incredibly powerful. It was a sound so loud, so vast. It was detected by sensors over 3,000 miles apart. It was far, far louder than the loudest call of the largest blue whale. The scientists who heard it named it the bloop for years. It was a profound and wondrous and slightly terrifying mystery, a great, unknown voice calling from the deep, a creature larger than any we had ever imagined. Today, the most likely answer is that it was the sound of a great icequake, the fracturing and cracking of a massive Antarctic iceberg. But there are other sounds, other strange, periodic bowings and upsweeps, other pulses and hums that we have recorded and named, but cannot yet explain. It is a quiet and humbling reminder that after all our exploration, after all our journey, we are still just floating on the surface of a great and wondrous and living mystery. We are just listeners, and the ocean, it is still holding its deepest secrets. It is still dreaming its own deep, ancient, and unfathomable dreams. And now, here we are, after all of that, after our long, slow, and wondrous drift, we begin to feel a gentle, almost imperceptible return. Imagine your consciousness, which has been so deep, so far, so untethered, now slowly, gently, beginning its ascent, like a single weightless bubble released from the very bottom of the world. We are floating up, up, back through the layers of this vast liquid memory. The images of our journey, the truths we have touched, they are not gone. They are now part of us, settling into our minds like soft, luminous sediment. Our journey is coming to an end, but we can remember it. We can feel the echo of it. And as we float, we can let these feelings, these quiet wonders, drift past us one last time, like a soft, living tapestry of all we have seen. We are rising now, rising from the very bottom. We remember the feeling of arriving at the abyss, that vast, endless, undulating plain of soft, ancient ooze, the quiet, collected dust of millennia. We remember the three great, absolute truths of that world: the permanent, velvet darkness, a darkness so old, it felt like a presence, a physical thing, the profound, steady, near-freezing cold, a cold that was not a sensation, but a state of being, and the pressure, oh, the pressure, a weight we could only describe with metaphors of mountains and of jets, a crushing, constant, and final embrace, the true, heavy hand of the planet. And we remember the life that existed there, in that impossible place, the slow, patient, stilt-walking tripod fish, waiting in the dark for a single touch. We remember the feeling of floating over that final, dark, 7-mile deep scar, the Mariana Trench. We remember the sense of awe, of vertigo, in knowing that the highest mountain on Earth would vanish beneath us with a mile to spare. And we remember the ghostly, pale, translucent snailfish, swimming calmly in that crushing void, a quiet, stubborn testament to life's refusal to surrender. And we remember the fire. We remember that the abyss was not just an end, it was a beginning. We remember the 40,000-mile seam of the Earth, the great, hidden, underwater mountain range, the mid-ocean ridge. We remember the black smokers, those jagged mineral chimneys, billowing 700-degree toxic water, a fire that could not boil, held in check by the immense dark pressure. And we remember the life, the impossible, magical, other life, the life that rewrote the rules. We remember the discovery of chemosynthesis, life born not of the Sunday, but of the Earth's own inner molten heat. We remember the beautiful alien blood-red plumes of the giant tube worms swaying in the warm, dark water, creatures with no mouth, no eyes, no stomach, living in a perfect, silent pact with the fire-eating bacteria inside them. We remember the ghostly, still toxic lakes found at the bottom of the ocean, a world within a world. We remember that feeling of profound and humbling astonishment, and we float up, leaving that world of fire and pressure behind, rising now through the midnight zone. We remember the feeling of absolute dark, the end of the Sunday, a world without day, without night, a world of permanent, timeless, quiet. And we remember the new light, the light that life made for itself. We remember the currency of patience. We remember the lonely, hypnotic, blue-green lure of the anglerfish, her tiny, farmed garden of living light, her patient, silent question to the void. We remember the sudden, brilliant, blue flashes, the light bombs of a shrimp, the silent, coded, pulsing language of fish calling to each other, a living constellation in a galaxy of darkness. We remember the great, gentle, constant blizzard, the marine snow. We remember the falling, the endless, slow, week-long rain of the ghosts of the sunlit world, the dust of life, the crumbs from the feast, the single, tenuous, life-giving thread, connecting this deep, dark world to the sun, miles above. We remember the soft, gelatinous bodies, the gulper eel, all mouth and patience, the vampire squid turning itself inside out, a living cloak of darkness. And we remember the battle of myths. We remember the giant squid with its dinner plate eyes, built to see not the Sunday, but the flash of its one great ancient foe. We remember the sperm whale, that creature of air, like us, plunging for an hour down into this crushing, cold, alien world, to hunt with a voice, with a sound so powerful it could see in the dark. We remember that epic, silent, slow-motion drama unfolding right now, 2 miles beneath the sleeping waves, and we continue to rise, up, up, through the 3,300-foot mark, and we feel a change. We remember the return of the faintest light. We are rising into the Twilight Zone. We remember that pure, cold, hazy, ghostly blue, a world of almost light, almost dark, a world of permanent dusk. We remember the strange, beautiful, alien eyes, the upward staring, tubular barrels of the barrel-eye fish, searching the dim, shadowy ceiling for a silhouette. We remember the game of shadows, the magic trick of counter-illumination. We remember the shrimp, the squid, the small fish, turning on their own, faint belly lights, to match the dim sky above, to vanish, to become nothing at all, a world, holding its breath, trying to look like a ghost. And we remember the pulse, the great, secret, daily pulse of the planet. We remember the Deal vertical migration. We remember that false bottom of life, that trillion of creatures hiding in the cold, pressurized dark. And then, as the sun set far above, their great, silent, vertical rise, the entire hidden civilization ascending to feed in the dark, safe surface waters. The largest movement of life on Earth, a vast, living, breathing cloud, inhaling the night. We remember the sound, the deep sound channel, the ocean's own private fiber optic cable, where the low, powerful, ancient song of a whale can travel for 1,000 miles, a whisper that can cross a continent, and we float up, further still, past the 650-foot mark. We are rising, and we feel warmth. We feel the forgotten, gentle caress of the sun's heat. We see the light, no longer a dim, blue ghost, but a dancing, golden, brilliant shower. We are returning to the sunlit zone. We remember the shimmering, silver, liquid ceiling, the caustics, the shattered, golden spears of light dancing on the water. We remember the blue, the ocean's own blue, the color of the light that the water absorbs and the light that it lets go. We remember the breath of the planet. We remember the invisible forest, the vast, floating, microscopic meadows of phytoplankton. We remember that they, not the trees, to give us more than half of the very oxygen you are breathing right now. We remember that our breath is a gift from this sunlit sea. We remember the cities, the living, breathing, animal cities of the coral reefs, the rainforests of the sea, built by tiny, soft polyps, powered by their live-in, sun-eating algae, a perfect pact, a vibrant, teeming, fragile world of color and of life. We remember the ancient mariners, the great sea turtles, flying through the water, navigating a hidden, magnetic map to find the single small beach where they were born. And finally, we remember the essence. We remember the patient, 4 billion-year story of why the sea is salty. We remember it is the liquid, mineral history of all the mountains of the world, dissolved by all the rain. For all of time, we remember that this salty, ancient broth is the womb, the source, the origin, the place where life began. We remember that we are to the ocean, that the salt in our own blood is the echo of this primordial sea. We remember the great, slow, 1,000-year heartbeat of the planet, the global conveyor belt, that silent, deep, cold river that sinks at the poles and slides along the abyssal floor, regulating our climate, breathing for the entire Earth. We remember the silent, sleeping, hidden museum, the 3 million shipwrecks, the human stories held in the cold, dark, timeless, oxygen-poor vault of the deep. And we remember the mysteries, the sounds we cannot explain, the bee bloop, the great, quiet, humbling reminder that after all of our journey, after all of our science, our world is still a vast and wondrous and profound secret. We have drifted, we have seen, and we have returned. And all of those wonders, all of those deep, quiet truths, we carry them with us as we now gently float back to the shore of our own waking mind. And as you rest here now, floating in this calm, quiet space, back on the familiar shore of your own room, I want you to hold on to this feeling, because this journey we just took, this deep, drifting connection to the sea, it was not just an act of imagination, it was an act of remembrance. It was a homecoming, because you are not separate from the ocean. You are not just a visitor who lives on the dry land, looking in. In the most profound, literal, and beautiful way, you are the ocean. You are a small, personal, and living piece of it that has learned to walk, and to think, and to feel. And now, to rest. Think about the water that makes up more than 60% of your body right now. The very fluid that fills your cells, that cushions your brain, that flows in a warm, steady current through your veins. This water is not just like the ocean, it is the ocean. It is a direct, unbroken, and ancient lineage. And it carries the ocean's memory, the salt in your blood, the faint, saline taste of your own tears is not an accident. It is a chemical signature, a biological echo of the very same salinity, the same ancient, chemical broth of that primordial sea, that warm, life-giving cradle, where our very first single-celled ancestors first sparked into being. Billions of years ago, you are, in your very essence, a small, walking, breathing sea, a personal ocean, dreaming on the shore. And this connection, this truth, it goes even deeper, deeper than the water, deeper than the salt, all the way down to the very atoms that build you, the atoms that make up your body right now, the carbon in your bones, the iron in your blood, the nitrogen in your DNA, the calcium that gives you strength. These atoms are not yours. They are borrowed. They are ancient travelers, atoms that have been on this planet, cycling for eons. The very same atoms that are, in this exact present moment, glowing in the fiery 700-degree heart of a hydrothermal vent, or locked inside the translucent, gelatinous body of a snailfish in the deepest, darkest trench, or floating as a single tiny, invisible phytoplankton, catching the last golden rays of the sun miles away. Those very same atoms are also inside of you. You are not just an observer of this planet's life. You are a collection of it. You are a temporary, beautiful, conscious, and thinking arrangement of the Earth's most ancient matter. You are a participant. You are a living, breathing, feeling part of this great, blue, liquid soul. There is no separation. There is no you and the ocean. There is only us, a single, vast, interconnected, and breathing whole. And when you rest, when you sleep, you are just a small ocean, returning for a few quiet hours to the stillness of the great, vast Mother Ocean from which you came. Tonight, as you let go, as you finally allow your consciousness to soften, to unmoor, to drift into the deep, healing, and restorative pull of sleep, know this: the ocean, your ocean, does not rest. Right now, in this very moment, as your own breath slows and deepens, the planet's great, quiet pulse continues. Far away, in the now darkened sunlit zone, that great vertical migration, that vast, living cloud of trillions of souls, is rising to the surface to feast. Or perhaps it is beginning its long, silent descent back into the safety of the twilight. Right now, miles down in the absolute midnight black, a living light is pulsing. A single, faint, bioluminescent question asked to the void. Right now, on the abyssal floor, at the seam of the world, a new piece of the earth is being born. A black smoker is billowing its fiery 700-degree chemical breath into the cold, crushing dark, and life. Life is thriving on it. The great, slow, 1,000-year current, the planet's own circulatory system, is moving. The ancient songs are traveling through the deep sound channel, the silent work, the wondrous, slow, and ancient magic. It all continues, and you are floating peacefully, right inside of it all. Your rest is not an escape from the world. It is a deep, synchronous, and perfect participation in it. Your own, quiet, rhythmic breathing is your small, personal, and perfect note in that vast, planetary, and ancient lullaby. So sleep now, sleep well. Let yourself dissolve, gently, back into the source. Feel the profound and absolute and steady peace of knowing that you are safe, that you are held, and that you are resting in the great, dark, silent, and loving cradle of life. And if you find that you are still quietly awake, that is perfectly all right. Good night.